In 2008, Kohei Horikoshi first put pen to paper to create a spark that would later become a global phenomenon. But it actually wasn't the show that went on to take over everything. And I mean everything.
My Hero Academia.
Boku no Hero.
My Hero Academia.
My Hero Academia.
My Academia.
My Hero Academia.
My Hero Academia.
My Hero Academia.
It was actually a one-shot manga titled My Hero, but a certain 13 characters later, I wonder if he knew that spark would go on to ignite a new era of anime. My Hero Academia is one of those shows almost every anime fan has watched. For many of us, it wasn't just another shonen, it was how we introduced our friends to anime an entire decade ago. But as silly as it sounds, a big part of who I am today is because of this wacky anime about children with superpowers who never stop doing their best. And the same can be said for a lot of us. So what character better encapsulates its spirit than the symbol of peace himself?
No.1 ヒーローオールマイト。
もう大丈夫。
どんな困ってる人でも笑顔で助けちゃうんだよ。
私が来た。
象徴？
平和の象徴。
だからヒーローになりたいと？
惨めな姿を世間にさらせ。平和の象徴。
超かっこいいヒーローさ。
貧相なトップヒーローだ。
世の中笑ってるやつが一番強いからな。
笑顔はどうした？
オールマイト、お願い、助けて。
There are few characters in anime who carry the burden of an entire country in the way Toshinori Yagi did, not through power, strength, or intellect, but through belief. He turned panic into calm with just 3 words. And is there any greater ability than to instill hope in even the darkest moments with nothing but your sheer presence? His mere existence is a promise that everyone is safe because there is someone willing to step into danger so others wouldn't have to. That's what it means to be a hero. And over time, that promise became a symbol, one that was passed down, shaped by loss, and carried forward with intention. But symbols are not immortal. That's why his smile was so important. Because even as his body failed him, even as every breath became a struggle, he smiled. Because a symbol that shows fear ceases to be a symbol at all. But that isn't easy. And what makes All Might truly extraordinary isn't how long he held that weight, but how willingly he set it down. When the time came, he didn't cling to power or legacy. He passed it on, not to someone perfect, but to a boy who reminded him why the symbol existed in the first place. Someone weak, frightened, and kind, someone human. And in doing so, he proved that heroism isn't about permanence. It's about knowing that a symbol is only meaningful if it inspires others to rise. Because a symbol doesn't exist to stand forever. It exists to teach others how to stand once it's gone.
年寄り、頑張れ年寄り。まだ紡がれてるぞ。頑張れ年寄り。
まだ死んでない。守るものが多いんだよ。オールフォーワン。だから負けないんだよ。
何人もの人がその力を次へと託してきたんだよ。みんなのためになりますようにと、一つの希望となりますようにと。次はお前の番だ。頑張ろうな年寄り。
ヒーローとは常にピンチをぶち壊していくもの。こんな言葉を知ってるか。さらに向こうで触れてみたら勝っちゃいないな。人は名物するのだ。私の灯火が消えようとも、私の灯火を受けた誰かが照らす。そうして暗がりは照らされ、私もまた瞬けるのだ。私に力を貸してくれ。ユナイテッドステイアートだ。
彼の死は時代の節目になる。
お前はオールマイトに負ける。
マイト王子様。
年寄り。 もっと強いヒーローはいない？エンデバーは死んだ。
お前のせいだ。お前がお母さんを。
何してんだあいつ。自分が一番分かってんだろ。オールマイトのようにはなれないって。
本当にすまない。
Endeavor chased the same title as All Might, but not the same meaning. Where one became a symbol through reassurance, the other sought to become one through force. He believed that strength alone could fill the space left by fear, that if he burned brightly enough, the world would follow. But strength without understanding doesn't inspire belief. And that's the difference between Enji Todoroki and a certain light of hope. For years, Endeavor measured his worth in victories, in numbers, in distance from a man he could never truly surpass. And somewhere along the way, that obsession narrowed down his world. Family became collateral, love became conditional, children became goals instead of people. And the fire he wielded so freely began to consume everything close to him. His arc isn't one of redemption, it's one of reckoning. But he doesn't ask to be forgiven, nor is he offered absolution. Instead, he's given something far more difficult, the burden to live, to stay, to face the consequences of his actions without running. And in that way, Endeavor becomes a different kind of symbol, not of hope or peace, but of endurance, of choosing to move forward while carrying the weight of what can't be undone. He can't erase the past, he can't heal every wound. All he can do is acknowledge his sins and continue anyway. And sometimes that's the hardest fight of all.
象徴の不在。これが象徴の不在。あれ見ろや。エンデバー生きて戦っとるやろうが。見ろや。
この国のトップヒーローだろうが。
諦めたんじゃないんだよ。
本気で超えようなんて人は一人もいなかった。あなただけですよ。
誰よりも諦めの悪い人なんだよ。
背中押しますよ。ナンバーワン。
見ていてくれ。
見てるぞ。
昔からこの校訓が大嫌いだったよ。クースールトラプロミネンス
過去は消えない。
立て。こんなもので倒れていてはオールマイトを愚か雑魚ヴィランにすら。
やめてください。まだ5つですよ。
もう5つだ。邪魔するな。
お母さん。
醜態ばかりだな、ショート。お前にはオールマイトを超えるという義務があるんだぞ。
お父さんみたいになりたくない。お母さんをいじめる人になんてなりたくない。
Shoto Todoroki was born into a legacy he never asked for. From the moment he could understand the world, his identity was decided for him, a vessel for someone else's ambition, a tool meant to surpass a symbol he never even chose to chase. And so, for a long time, Shoto believed that rejecting his fire was the same as rejecting his father. He fought with half of himself missing. Ice became his shield, a way to survive, to distance himself from a past that still burned too close to the surface. And in that silence, he wasn't chasing victory, he was trying to breathe. What Shoto needed was never power, it was permission. Not to forgive, not to forget, but to choose. To understand that his quirk was not a debt he owed, nor a curse he had to carry alone. To understand that the fire in his veins didn't belong to his father. It belonged to him. That is what separates him from the man who raised him and the brother who was lost. He is the proof that inheritance does not decide destiny, that pain does not have to be repeated to be acknowledged, that you can look at the past honestly without letting it consume you.
記憶の中の母はいつも泣いてる。
私変なの。もうダメ。
障害物競争の騎馬戦も圧倒できたはずだ。
あの子の左側が時よりとても醜く思えてしまうの。
左は絶対使わね
俺の血を持って俺を超えていき。
私もう育てられない。
俺の野望をお前が果たせ。
半分の力で勝つ。君に傷一つつけられちゃいないぞ。
左を使わず一番になることで
君の力じゃないか。
血にとらわれることなんかない。ヒーローにはなりたいんでしょ。
俺だってヒーローに。お前は最高傑作なんだぞ。俺の力だ。全力でかかってこい。伯爵だけ轟さん、君のおかげで俺はなりたいものになれたように思う。だから君もなってこい。ありがとな緑谷。ありがとうイーダ。ありがとな。
選んで進んだのは私の足で、その先では笑っていようと思っていたのに、私じゃ止められない。出るな、涙なんか。これならお父さんもきっとびっくりするぞ。
轟園児、お母さん、冬美ちゃん、夏くん、翔太、俺を見てくれ。地獄の底で。
Dabi's story is not about a man who chose to become a villain. It's the story of a child who was never allowed to be anything else. Toya had a heart that beat to the rhythm of a lullaby that was never sung. His worth was something he had to earn by burning brighter than the pain inside him. He wanted to be stronger than All Might, but was never actually chasing heroism. He was chasing a gaze that never stayed long enough. And when that gaze finally turned away, Toya disappeared. Not all at once, but piece by piece, replaced by silence, by training alone, by a boy screaming into fire, hoping someone, anyone, would look back at him. And when no one did, the world taught him a cruel lesson. If love only arrives when you hurt yourself, then the only proof of your existence is pain. And when a child learns that being alive isn't enough, what's left is Dabi. And that's the tragedy, because Toya never wanted the world to burn. He wanted it to look. And the cruelest part of it all is that while Shouta was given the ability to choose and Enji was given the ability to endure, Dabi was never given either. He isn't a monster born from evil. He's a child shaped by neglect, still screaming for someone to just look at him.
Toya, お前ならオールマイトを超えられる。
火をつけたのはお父さんだ。
Toyaには超えられない。
地獄で俺と踊ろうぜ。なあ、お父さん。
でもお前はずっと俺を見続けてたんだもんな。
俺はできるよ。俺は超えられる。だから俺のこと見てよ。
また俺を見てくれなくって。
俺を見ろよ、エンデバー。俺を見ろよ、
エンデバ
ー。お父さん、今度の休みセコト岳に来てよ。俺を作ってよかったって思うから。
セコト岳行かなくてごめんな。
止まらない、お母さんも加担してんだよ。その目をやめて、その目をやめて。
追い詰めてごめんな。
その目を
冬美、
トヤに連れて行かないで。
全部押し付けてごめんな。
夏くんまで俺をたしなめるのか。
夏を
これ以上迷惑かけるな、クソ兄貴。
田中氏にしてごめんな。
イカれてんのかてめえ。
ショート。
そうだよショート、兄ちゃん何も感じなくなっちまった。
ごめんな。
嫌だ、知りたくない。
見ろよ
俺のこと見てよ。
なあ見ろって壊れちまってるよ。
まだ何も見せられてない。
一人で行かせはしない。
みんなが見てる。こんなもんか。こんな簡単なことだったならもっと早くに。
犯した罪の賠償と謝罪を一生かけて続けていく。
地獄だぞ。
ああ、ダンスの誘いを受けたんでな。
ヒーローが辛いとき、誰がヒーローを守ってあげられるだろう。
包めば一つでしたっけ？
トガちゃん。
何をもって線を引くのでしょう。
両親はいつも疲れた顔をしていて、
私は絶対ヒーローになってお金稼いで父ちゃん母ちゃんに楽させてあげるんだ。人を助ける人がヒーローなら ジン君は人じゃなかったのか。
トガちゃんはもう俺を包んでくれないだろうな。
ヒーローがジン君を殺したのなら私のことも殺すんでしょうか。
トガちゃん、また可愛い顔を傷つけちまった。
大きくなったら父ちゃんと母ちゃんのお手伝いする。
ハンカチ返すよ。
聞きたかったんです。雫くんに、お茶子ちゃんに。早く私、父ちゃんたち。
ごめん。最後まで本当に。絶対いいヒーローになるって俺分かってるもん。
ジンくん、助けてくれてありがとう。
In a world obsessed with the idea of saving, very few people stop to ask what saving actually means, at least with the exception of two girls, both with opposing quirks, one consuming to become and the other releasing to lift, but both orbiting the same star, the desire to be understood without being corrected into something else. Toga's tragedy begins when society runs out of patience. Her quirk weaponizes intimacy. She has to ingest a person to wear their face and is pushed to the point where she considers herself unlovable unless she performs as someone else. And Uraraka starts with a rather simple dream: to become a hero to support her family. And while there's nothing wrong with money framing her goal, it's actually empathy that slowly reframes it. The more she watches the people in front of her, the less abstract the concept of saving becomes. And in that sense, her power isn't gravity, it's relief. The ability to make things lighter, in reality and in spirit. And that's why in a sea of Twice clones surrounded by borrowed faces and stolen identities, Uraraka still finds the real Toga. Just like a 6th magnitude star is barely visible to the naked eye, only showing itself to those who stop straining and let their vision soften, Uraraka's gift is that even in the noise of battle, in the chaos of identical silhouettes, she finds the one person crying behind the mask. Even when Toga calls Ochaco Uraraka by her full name to shield and distance herself, Uraraka answers with Himiko-chan. She steps into Toga's given name without asking her to step out of herself. She proves she isn't here to fix Toga, she's here to meet her. After all, to save someone like Toga, you have to start by letting her be someone like Himiko.
ジン君みたいに殺すの。私は今、一人でも多くの人を助けたいの。二人とも可愛いね。好きな人がいますよね。そしてその人見たくなりたいって思ってますよね。でもだんだん満足できなくなっちゃうよね。その人そのものになりたくなっちゃうよね。私さ、変なんだよね。私は自分が当たり前だと思うことを言葉にして返したんだ。とても悲しそうな顔してた。待て、トガヒミコ、あなたと会ってからあなたのこと考えてた。私はトガヒミコ、ヒーローはいらない。だから消えてね、さようなら。私も私の当たり前を全うする。うららかお茶子として。一緒だね、お茶子ちゃん。もしかしたら恋の話もできるかも。私まだあなたと恋話してない。初めて会った時怖かった。好きなものは好きというあなたの顔は羨ましいくらいに素敵な笑顔だと思うから、今はあなたを止めたい。これの私だから今私はここにいる。教えて、思ったこと、思ってきたこと全部。すぐ好きになっちゃう。笑うなって言われたもん。だからヴィラン連合なの。あなたの笑顔が素敵だと伝えなきゃと思ったの。私可愛い。世界一。ありがとうね、お茶子ちゃん。嬉しかったよ。本当に嬉しかったの。
まさしく君の光景にふさわしい人間がいる。
東方ミリオですか。
最底辺の成績でも笑顔だけは絶やさない。君の言うヒーロー感にぴったりじゃないか。
あの男は俺の知る限り最もナンバーワンに近い男だ。
さあ生きてください。死ぬなんてダメだ。
悲しい人生だったな、ルミリオ。
ミリオ、俺たちの個性は一歩間違えると真っ二つになったりしちゃうんだ。ミリオはそれでもなりたい？
頑張
る。ならパパは精一杯ミリオを応援するよ。
動け、ルミリオ。だって動け。
Mirio Togata has the rare ability to make something as basic as optimism feel like a genuine superpower. And in a world obsessed with symbols, from the symbol of peace that was All Might, the symbol of endurance, endeavor, and a certain symbol of victory, isn't it strange that a boy constantly touted as being the next #1 hero isn't a symbol at all? Instead, he's a light of hope. And what could possibly inspire more hope than his hero name itself? Lemillion never promised to save everyone. Instead, he set a number big enough to be ridiculous, but small enough to be accountable. And then he ground himself to dust to turn that promise into a reality. His permeation isn't flashy. It erases any and all sensation, invites suffocation, and punishes hesitation. But those same things taught Mirio to suffer in private and fail 1,000 times in ways that may not have produced spectacles, but helped him improve, not by miracle, but by iteration. And it turns him into living proof that the difference between unremarkable and unstoppable is simply practice. That's why even Overhaul, a man who only ever referred to him as a schoolboy, did him the justice of calling him Lemillion by the end of their fight. That's what sets him apart from so many others. He adopts Night Eye's philosophy into his own. His mentor believed that a hero's lightheartedness is a way to share oxygen in a room that's running out of it. And Mirio takes this one step further, disarming tension by making himself the punchline and literally taking the most vulnerable of positions and refusing to be ashamed of it. And the most remarkable part about all of this is that his sheer brilliance is shown in just 15 minutes in a corridor that changed everything.
事情が分かったらヒーロー面か、学生さん。
決して君を悲しませない。俺が君のヒーローになる。
ありえない。榊の個性はまだ消えているはず。無敵かのような個性は失ったはず。
相手をよく見て動きを予測するんだ。なんだこいつは。俺は依然ルミリオンだ。
何度言ったらわかるんだ。お前は人を壊す。そう生まれついた。お前の行動一つ一つが人を殺す。呪われた存在なんだよ。
Eri is the most honest answer to the question, what are heroes for? Or rather, her journey through her trauma leads to that answer, and her quirk is the cleanest metaphor for that. To rewind, to go back to before it happened. Chisaki uses her quirk to reduce Eri to nothing more than a function. Rewind, harvest, repeat. He teaches her the most dangerous lie a child can learn, that her mere existence is a danger to others. That's why her first rescue fails. That's why she returns to her abuser, to stop others from being hurt, because the math in her head says if she is a variable that causes pain, removing herself is kindness. And nothing is more heroic than that. Well, almost nothing. To Mirio, the number on his costume meant the number of people he wanted to save, but to Eri, it meant hope. He named himself Lemillion because he wanted to save 1,000,000 people, but he threw it all away to save just one, and he'd do it again without hesitation.
謝らないで。そのために訓練したんだもん。
あの子が笑えないままなんて、そんなの絶対。ヒーローがマントを羽織るのは痛くて辛くて苦しんでる女の子を包んであげるためだ。見えるかい、緑谷くん。さあ笑ったよ。
緑谷出久、お前の力じゃヒーローになれないよ。
こいつはヴィラン連合の中核。
見込みがないものはいつでも切り捨てます。半端に夢を追わせることほど残酷なものはない。
そしてそのベースになった因子、かつて雄英高校で君たちと苦楽を共にし、
つくづくあの入試は合理性に欠くよ。お前のようなやつも入学できてしまう。
白くもおぼろのものと極めて近いことが分かった。
Shouta Aizawa never believed heroism was about spectacle. From the very beginning, he rejected the idea that saving people had to look impressive. And in a profession understandably filled with noise, he chose vigilance. And nothing is more unique than his quirk, being one of the only ones that rather than adding to the world, it removes. It strips power away and leaves only the person underneath. And that philosophy extends far beyond his ability. As a teacher, he doesn't inspire by promising greatness. He inspires by demanding honesty. And if a dream can't survive reality, he believes it's kinder to end it early than to let it break someone later. That's why he watches so closely, why he stays up so late, why he throws himself into danger for his children without hesitation, because he understands something most heroes don't. The job doesn't end when the fight does. Someone has to stay behind. Someone has to keep the students alive long enough for them to become who they're meant to be. He isn't the kind of hero people cheer for. He's the kind they survive because of. And sometimes, that's the most important kind of hero there is.
生徒に厳しく当たってきた生徒たちにはお前のようになってほしくなかった。
邪魔だ、イレイザーヘッド。
シガラキ、俺の生徒にちょっかいかけるなよ。
最悪は先生を失うこと。
死んでたまるか。先生。百もなろうぜ、ヒーローに。
かっこいいさ、イレイザー。
まだ見ててやらなきゃ。あいつらを卒業させてヒーローになるまで。もう大丈夫。僕がいる。ひどいことだね。
なんだあいつ。
辛かったね、志村天子くん。
何が起きた。
怖かったね、辛かったね。
逃げなくては分かっているのに。
誰も助けてくれなかったんだね。
恐怖で体が。
一体誰がこんな世の中にしてしまったんだろう。
体が動かない。
これは僕が最高の魔王になるまでの物語だ。
From the very beginning, All for One's dream wasn't anything but visibility. To be the greatest demon lord, the kind that looms over everything, undeniable and absolute. In a fractured world, he wanted certainty, a role so large that it swallowed everyone else. And at the center of that dream was his brother. Yoichi was weak, fragile, quiet, everything All for One despised, and yet everything he wanted. Yoichi was the one person whose gaze mattered to him, the only one he wanted acknowledgement from. So he convinced himself that if he could just keep him close enough, the world would finally make sense. But Yoichi chose differently. And when All for One lost him, he didn't just lose his brother, he lost the narrative. The story slipped out of his hands, passed down through people who refused to stand in his shadow. And that betrayal became the axis his hatred revolved around. So isn't it only natural for such a man to obsess over inheritance, to hoard quirks, bodies, and identities, not to become stronger, but to ensure nothing escapes him again? Because if the world won't look at him willingly, he will make it. He doesn't just want to win. He doesn't just want to rule. He wants every pair of eyes on him forever.
みんなが僕のためだけに存在する世界。僕にも夢ができた。
ダメ、痛いの。ダメ。
僕に黙って何を読んでる。
ヒーロー。
勘違いするな、戸村。
魔王は常に上に。
僕の興味はもはやあのウド、オールマイトにないよ。
次は君だ。
君だ、君だ。共に行こう。よいち、なぜ行ってしまうんだ。離れろ、僕のだ。
ヨイチ、お前がいなきゃダメなんだよ。僕はみんなにずっと見ていてほしいんだ。
これは僕の物語なのさ。
大丈夫？立てる？
先生、俺が1位になる。
なんでずっと後ろにいた奴の背中を追うようになっちまった。完全勝利する。俺はてめえに負けた。勝負は必ず完全勝利。俺はずっと負けてた。本当に強え奴の勝利だろ。強くなってんのに。なのになんで俺はオールマイトを終わらせちまってんだ。
Katsuki Bakugo was praised long before he was understood. From the moment his quirk manifested, the world told him he was special, strong, destined for greatness. And when you tell a child that often enough, it stops sounding like encouragement and starts sounding like a sentence. Bakugo grew up believing that strength was responsibility, that if he ever fell behind, if he ever hesitated, something irreparable would be lost. His anger wasn't arrogance, it was fear. Fear of losing the only thing the world has ever valued him for. Fear of being ordinary. Fear of failing a role he never asked to be cast in. That's why Bakugo doesn't just want to win, he needs to. Victory to him isn't ego, it's proof. Proof that the expectations placed on him weren't a lie. Proof that he hasn't wasted the gifts he was given. And when he fights, he doesn't fight to dominate. He fights to leave no doubt. If he stands at the top, it has to be undeniable. What makes him special isn't his incredible quirk, it's his honesty. He never pretends to be something he's not. He never sugarcoats the distance between himself and his goal. When he loses, he doesn't deflect. And in those not so rare moments when he's weak, it hurts him more than anyone else ever could. But instead of breaking, he sharpens. That's why his victories feel different. Bakugo doesn't win by luck, by circumstance, or by others falling short. He wins because he demands everything of himself, and then more. And in doing so, he drags the people around him forward, perhaps not with comfort, but with certainty. If All Might was a symbol of peace and Endeavor the symbol of endurance, then make no mistake, Katsuki Bakugo is the symbol of victory. Not because he always wins, but because he refuses to accept a future where he doesn't.
負けていいなんて言わないでよ。刀やな、イズク。爆豪少年、君は言われずとも非常によくわかっているんだろう。常にトップを狙う者とそうでない者。変わってねえよ。昔も今も俺の目標はマイドをも超えるナンバーワンヒーローだ。てめえらが危ねえ時は俺が助ける。助けて勝つ。勝って助ける。俺3位欲しかったんだよな。な、イズク。俺まだお前に追いつけるから。見て、あんた勝樹が。いらないよ。だってあいた。それでも見なきゃ。だってあの子きっといつもみたいに笑ってるはずだから。
世界は一人の力で変えられます。
イズク、なんでだろうな。やっぱり僕の中で勝利のイメージが君になってるんだ。追い越せそうな気がする。全て考慮していたはずだ。なんだこいつは。エガラスボスだ。言われなくても俺はあんたをも超えるヒーローになる。なぜ僕はオールマイト以上の爆豪のキャッチャーだ。これは僕の物語だ。そうじゃねえ。一人じゃなかった。この体も夢もこれは俺たちの物語だ。
私は天子のこと応援してるから。お父さんに内緒で視点ヒーローになっちゃおう。気に入らないのは壊すんだもんね、トムラ君。
俺はただ壊すだけだ。
あれはおばあちゃんじゃない。子供を捨てた鬼畜だ。
全てを壊す。
いいか、ヒーローというのは他人を助けるために家族を傷つけるんだ。ぶっ壊れろ。
信楽戸村は志村奈々の孫だよ。
父の建てたこの家は僕を優しく否定する。
やだ、もうみんな嫌いだ。みんな嫌いだ。
Tomura Shigaraki's story begins long before he ever chose a name, before the hands, before the hatred. It begins with a child who reached out and found no one there. Tenko Shimura didn't want power, he didn't want control, he wanted permission to be afraid, to cry, to be held, to be a child. But he was born into a world with no space for it, so he learned to itch, to rot, to disappear. And when the world finally noticed him, it was already too late. But he isn't destruction incarnate. He wasn't born craving ruin. He was shaped by neglect, by a society that walked past suffering as long as it didn't interrupt the illusion of peace, where heroes arrived after the fact. And in the same way, All for One didn't create Shigaraki's hatred. He simply named it. He gave structure to pain that had nowhere else to go. And in doing so, he turned a lost child into a weapon. Yet, even at his worst, Shigaraki's story isn't empty of hope. Because beneath the rage, beneath the ideology, beneath the inherited hatred, there is still a boy asking the same question he always was. Why didn't anyone save me? Tomura Shigaraki was not born from the absence of heroism. He was created because of it, as its failure. He is proof that symbols alone are not enough. He is a reminder that hope ignored does not disappear. It decays.
お前まだ俺を人間扱いしてんのか。ちゃんと見ろ、そこに俺はもういない。
ヒーローとは正義とは何か。未来なんかいらないんだ。
こんなものも全ていらない。
父に触れた途方もない快感が全身を貫いて、かゆみはもう感じなかった。どんな困難にも立ち向かえる気がする。この胸に夢とオリジンがある限り、
俺の望みはただ一つ。あの家から連なる全ての崩壊だ。
泣いていた少年はもうとっくに乗り越えた。
僕が選んだんだ。たとえ憎しみを打ち砕かれようと、空っぽになろうと、
あいつらのヒーローにならなきゃ。おばあちゃん、結局俺はお前の言った通り泣いてるガキだったってことか。緑谷出久、スピナーが生きてたら伝えてくれよ。信楽戸村は最後まで壊すために戦ったって。これは僕が最高のヒーローになるまでの物語。
お母さん、僕もなれるかな。
個性のない人間でもあなたみたいになれますか。
君が助けを求める顔してた。そこで出来損ないのデクじゃないぞ。大丈夫だよ、ゴータ君。必ず助けるから。余計なお世話はヒーローの本質なんだって。余計なお世話だとしても君を助ける。
どういうヒーローになりたい？
誰にも心配させることのないくらい、必ず勝って必ず助ける。
Izuku Midoriya begins this story with nothing. No power, no confidence, no proof that the world has a place for him. Just a notebook full of observations, a heart that won't stop racing, and a question he's too afraid to ask out loud. Can someone like him really be a hero? And for a long time, Izuku believed heroism was something you earned after the fact. That once you're strong enough, brave enough, useful enough, then you're allowed to matter. So he studies, he imitates, he breaks himself over and over again, trying to become worthy of a dream that feels permanently out of reach. But what set Izuku apart was never his strength, it was his instinct. Because despite all the notes and observations, when danger appears, he doesn't calculate his odds. He moves, not because he thinks he'll win, but because someone needs help. Now. His body acts before his fear can catch up, before his doubt can talk him out of being himself. That's why All Might chose him, not because he was special, but because he was already doing the job without the power. And as he grows, his understanding of heroism changes. Saving people stops being about defeating villains and starts being about understanding them. He learns that a hero isn't someone who stands above others, but someone who reaches out when everyone else looks away. Izuku Midoriya didn't become a hero because he was given everything. He became one because even with nothing, he still did his best. And sometimes that's enough to change the world.
伊豆君、信楽戸村を殺せるか。諦めろ。救いようのない人間はいるんだよ。
だからって泣いていたあの少年は諦めはしない。
こんなにも素晴らしい力を持て余して友達も先生も守れない。
デトロイトセラーテキサススマッシュアンチェスタースマッシュデラウェアデトロイトセラーどうしたさっきより弱えぞ。
いくら早かろうが先の二人に比べれば
出来損ないに渡ってしまったことが間違いだって。
ヒーローとは常にピンチをぶち壊していくもの。
ごめん、お母さん。お母さん、ごめん。
大丈夫？私の個性。ごめんね、勝手に。でも転んじゃったら縁起悪いもんね。うららかお茶子です。緑 ドリア・デク君だよね。
本名はイズクで、デクはかっちゃんがバカにして。
でもデクって頑張れって感じでなんか好きだ私。
その一歩がどれほど困難なものか私は思う。この困難な一歩を道となした時、そこにオールマイトをも超える最高のヒーローが誕生するのだと。
余裕がなくても必死に困ってる人を助ける彼を見てきたから思う。
ヒーローが辛い時、
ヒーローたちが辛い時、誰がヒーローを守ってあげられるだろう。先生、私デクさんたちに楽しくしてもらったから、今日終わったらデクさんたちにお渡しするの。
嫌だった、見たくなかった、認めたくなかった。
否定することで優位に立とうとしてたんだ。
ミロリア・イズクは力の責任を全うしようとしてるだけど、まだ学ぶことがたくさんある。
本音だ、イズク。今までごめん。
普通の高校生なんだ、ここは。
お前が脱ぐへんもんは俺たちが脱ぐ。
誰ぞヒーローアカデミアでいさせてください。
エリちゃんのお歌聞くまで死ねないぞ。
デク君はすごい、どんどんすごいとこ見えてくる。私を助けてくれた後もずっと戦ってたんだ。
離さない。どこへでも駆けつけ、迷子の手を引くのがインゲニウムだ。みんなの声が聞こえる。余計なお世話ってのはヒーローの本質なんだろう。体育祭の時だっていつもずっと助けられっぱなしだ。
デク君、私たちは君の隣に。
僕のヒーローだ。
私の最高のヒーローだったよ。頑張れ頑張れ頑張れ頑張れ頑張れ頑張れ頑張れ頑張れイズク。
What's the last day?
Yeah,
Alright, I'm excited to start this.
This has been like my most anticipated anime.
What's this about? Something about superheroes and kids and high school. Doing?
What do you even know about this show?
I don't know anything.
Literally nothing.
Hey guys, I'm Sam. And I'm Morgan.
I'm Aaron. I'm Shane. I'm Calvin. I'm Aaron.
Well, this is Pat, Nikki, Rena.
Yeah, we back on TT. Gang.
We are here to start My Hero Academia.
My Hero Academia.
My Hero Academia.
I know that My Hero is beloved by many people.
Oh my god! Dang.
What do you mean it's over?
I don't want it to end.
This show may not be considered one of the greatest anime of this generation, but it doesn't have to be. All it ever needed to be was a story that taught us what it means to go beyond, what it means to be seen, what it means to find the courage to smile. It's no wonder that a few strokes of ink on a piece of paper went on to become a symbol that redefined anime. So from the bottom of all our hearts, thank you, My Hero Academia.